Hi and welcome back. Now we're going to get started with setting up Google Analytics, and we're going to set it up for this site, rnjtemplates.com. Now in order to get started, we're going to start over at analytics.google.com. I'm going to put this link in the resources so you can quickly access it. Before we go ahead and start by clicking on Start Measuring, make sure that you're logged in at the correct account, okay? If you're logged in at the wrong account, well then you're gonna get the wrong email associated with your Google Analytics, and you want to use the correct email, okay? So use the Gmail account that you have associated with your website or that you're trying to set up. So once you have that and you have your account set, let's click on Start Measuring. So the first thing we're going to do is set up the account name, and the account name can be something very simple. For us, it's going to be Robin and Jesper, okay? Because if we have multiple sites or multiple things that we want to track with Google Analytics, then we can have something known as multiple properties. So the account name is going to be who is this account associated with, and that is of course Robin and Jesper. So if you just put your business name or your regular name here. And then when it comes to the data sharing, there's nothing we need to do here. All of these basics are all we need, and we don't want any emails from Google and their products and services. Google is great and all, but I don't want their emails. So I'm gonna click on Next. Now this is where we set the property name. Now realize you can have multiple websites, meaning multiple properties, and all of those properties should have the name of the website. Of course, we're only going to be setting up for a single website, and that is this one. And since it's called RNJ Templates, it makes sense to call this RNJ Templates. You could also just use the URL like rnjtemplates.com. Doesn't matter how you do it. Next up, we have the reporting time zone. Now, this is going to be important for you to understand when your audience is peaking. So by having the correct time zone, which of course for us is going to be Sweden, because we're currently in Sweden, there we go, then we're going to get the reporting accordingly to our time. So if we know that we have a traffic spike at around 3 p.m. Swedish time, well then we know that we probably want to publish our content around 3 p.m. Swedish time, regardless of what time that is in other countries. So this is just for your own reporting. And then when it comes to the currency, it's a good idea to match the currency with your website's currency. So if you're running an e-commerce like we are, we have a shop here and we're selling things in dollars, then we want to match it with dollars so that we can see how much money we're making. So they're correlating, and the currency doesn't need to convert to any other currency, because that's just gonna mess your statistics up. Of course, if you aren't selling anything, it doesn't matter. And if you're selling something locally or in your own currency, then just put that currency that you'll be using. But match this with your e-commerce if you are running an e-commerce. And then, this is super important before we move on, click on Show Advanced Options. Now, scrolling down, we have something that says Create a Universal Analytics Property. This is Google Analytics 3, and we already spoke of the importance of why we want it and why it's so important that we install both. Well, Google Analytics has put Google Analytics 4 as the default, so that's what you're going to be getting if you're just setting this up. But we know that Google Analytics 3 is currently the much more complete version, so we want to make sure that we get that as well, and that's the version that we're going to be using. So they hide it under advanced options, so we need to click there and have it activated, and then we're gonna get both versions and get all of the data we can and all sorts of reports. And then website URL, super simple. All I'm gonna do is go to the website here. I'm going to copy the address just like that and paste it right in. The HTTPS is already there, so I'm going to remove that part. Just like this, and there we go. So now it says create both the Google Analytics 4 Universal Analytics properly. That means Google Analytics 4 and Google Analytics 3, and yes, that's exactly what we want to do. And then we have enable enhanced measurements for Google Analytics 4 property, and yes, we want that as well. That means that Google Analytics 4 is going to measure all of the interactions, how long they're watching your products, all of this more advanced tracking, and there's no reason not to have it. So we're gonna leave that clicked in. And we want to make sure that we have both versions, so don't touch this part, leave this one on, and then we're gonna click on Next. Now next up, this is mainly for their market research. This is gonna make any real difference within your Google Analytics. So help us tailor your experience by answering the following. And I'm just gonna put this is going to be in the other industry. We have a small business. We want to measure customer engagement, optimize, increase conversions, measure content monetization, analyze sales, and measure lead generation. Now, this isn't super important that you get right, but just get these ones right accordingly to what you plan on using it for. And if you plan on using something else that you missed out, really don't worry about it. This is mainly for them, not for us. And then let's hit create. And then we need to accept their terms of service and agreement. Click on I accept and click on I accept. And here we are. So we've officially created our Google Analytics account. That's perfect. The next thing we want to do is install our tracking code. And we're going to move over to the next lecture and do just that. See you in the next lecture.